Welcome back. Time for Game Plan 2017, and to my right is Senator Moses Kajwang, of course, ODM, and across from me is Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah of the Jubilee Party. Gentlemen, welcome. We waste no time. I want to start with today's rallies in Nairobi. And in your opinion, well, let's hear it firsthand. What exactly is ODM up to with all these rallies going forward? Is it time to re-energize a party that was lagging?
Thank you, Anne. Our meeting in Mathare today was a continuation of the celebrations that we had a week or so back in Mombasa. It was a continuation of the celebration of ODM's existence for 10 years. When we were in Mombasa, we made a commitment, and Governor Kidero made a commitment that we will host ODM supporters in Nairobi for a meeting so that we can reflect and re-energize our base. So this is not the end. We've said today we will be moving to Eldoret, we will be moving to other counties, and we said we would also go to counties like Kiambu or Nyeri, because every single part of Kenya, there are those people who have been excluded, the ones the president refers to as the ones who just sniff the meat while others eat. So we want to reach out to that. We want to re-energize that base and give them the assurance that there's a brighter future, there's a brighter political future, and that future is represented by ODM.
One would also conversely argue that having come from the Mombasa feat and now coming to Nairobi, that ODM is trying to basically reclaim ground that it has lost in the last 4 or so years to Jubilee.
I don't see it as losing ground. In fact, Jubilee has been in power for the last 3-4 years. And to be honest, there is not much that they can show us. Jubilee has been in power for all this time, and it has had the opportunity to seduce Kenyans, to add more numbers to their ranks.
Seduction.
But they have failed. And that is why you're seeing even this launch of Jubilee Party, the party that they did the other day. I think it is a realization that the script that they went into the last elections with is not going to work for them. So in many ways, in many senses, I think it is Jubilee that is trying to catch up with ODM, particularly at the coast, which voted overwhelmingly for CORD, and even Nairobi. Nairobi is the face of Kenya. All communities are found in Nairobi. But if you look at the outcome of the last presidential vote, Raila Odinga won. ODM took over Nairobi County, the capital of this nation. ODM took over Mombasa, the second largest city. ODM took over Kisumu, the third largest city. Surely that tells you that there's something right that ODM has done that Jubilee is trying to chase.
Kimani, is this just the art of seduction? Perhaps that's why you chose red.
You know, if it's about seduction, then we have done very well, especially in Homa Bay, where you just had an interview with the PS Health, and I remember one of the examples he gave is his home county of Homa Bay, where people now can access dialysis centers right in Homa Bay and don't have to come to Nairobi, Kenyatta's, or Moi Referral in Eldoret. But I think, to be honest, CORD and particularly ODM have a two-pronged approach to what they are doing. One is reactionary. They went to Mombasa to celebrate 10 years of failure last weekend, reacting to the launch of Jubilee.
And today you were reacting to them, correct?
No. We planned, and the Member of Parliament for Mathare, who is decamping to Jubilee, planned a homecoming to go and popularize the Jubilee Party with his people in Mathare. And when they had this, then they had to react and organize a parallel rally in the same constituency. And you wonder why they would not have done that in Kibra, where, as we say, is their home turf for ODM. But I think they're also showing a lot of desperation.
Mathare belongs to ODM. Is there turf? The MP currently there, ticket on an ODM ticket.
Mathare, I'll tell you one thing for sure. The Member of Parliament who was declared the winner in 2013 was a TNA Member of Parliament, Honorable Anjohi. After the election petition of, I think, in 2014, is when K1 was elected as Member of Parliament. But K1 was elected as K1 because that is the person that people wanted, not necessarily because he was in ODM. And he has since moved with the people in Mathare. And I think the numbers spoke volumes. I'll tell you, the desperation you'll see in ODM is also quite evident. Today, I must sympathize with Mr. Karanja, whose pickup, and I've seen it being covered in the news, that was burnt down today. by the ODM supporters after their rally in Huruma. And I think what the senator and the leadership in ODM failed to realize is that when you are sitting on University on tarmac in town, the ground was shifting, and the ground shifted dramatically from ODM to Jubilee. It's not just leaders, the people also in the constituencies that you mentioned and the areas that you mentioned, right even in Nyanza, people are moving en masse to Jubilee. I think
let me hold you there. What do you believe has made Nairobi and Mombasa traditionally opposition strongholds, and what are you doing differently that can counter it in 2017?
I think definitely the leadership in Mombasa, for instance, in the last elections, what was peddled then was the land question. And that dramatically, of course, over the last 3 years, I think out of the 3.2 or 3.1 million title deeds that have been issued out by the Jubilee administration, a bulk of those title deeds have been in Mombasa. That the fallacy that ODM and COD were peddling in the coast, that Jubilee cannot and Uhuru Kenyatta's administration cannot be a solution to the land problem in the coast, I think we have disabused that notion.
And indeed,
the people, Nairobi has never been an opposition stronghold.
Why is it Governor ODM?
Remember, well, the governor is ODM, and we had our own issues within Jubilee in the last elections. And just look at the votes that the Jubilee candidates, those who are affiliated to Jubilee, got vis-a-vis what Kidero got as governor for Nairobi. Two, even today Kidero is in a panic mood. Kidero has got to look for people like Joho to come and help him in Nairobi. I think the other thing that is true, and remember last week when they went to Mombasa, they promised this nation a huge announcement. The only announcement that was made was that Baba is our presidential candidate for ODM. Today again, we had been promised another 2 announcements, I think we were told. The only thing we've been told is that Kidero is COD's ODM's candidate for Nairobi. The one thing that comes out clearly is that ODM has its owners. That is why you hear Raila Odinga is their presidential candidate.
Is Hassan Joho one of them Kidero,
now? Definitely. The other thing that was not said in Mombasa, but I can tell you for a fact, is that ODM is ready to go it alone in the coming elections. There will be nothing like COD in the 2017 elections.
And the ticket
with Raila as a presidential candidate and Hassan Joho as a running mate. So Kalonzo, Wetangula, and the others are just being told you're bidding your time and mjipange.
Moses.
Well, I think this is part of what the president was saying in Narok, saying that focus on your house, leave our house alone. And maybe Mheshimiwa Ichung'wah should focus on Jubilee, which really has not delivered what they promised just 1 or 2 weeks ago. ODM and we in COD, we have made the decision to proceed as a coalition. And we are not going to get into the forced marriage that Jubilee is, where you've got 14 houses that have been dismantled to have one behemoth without even national officials. We have decided to proceed as a coalition. ODM is popularizing itself as a party. Moses Wetangula, who is the leader of Ford Kenya, has launched his presidential bid, and I attended the launch of his presidential bid in that spirit, because we know that it is a coalition. Let these parties strengthen themselves, re-energize their traditional bases, and then we can come and coalesce around certain ideals.
And Hassan Joho, the Mombasa governor, does he need to come to Nairobi to campaign for Evans Kidero?
He did not come to campaign for Evans Kidero. Hassan Joho is a deputy party leader of ODM. ODM has got 2 deputy party leaders. While our party leader Raila Odinga is out of the country, we want the world to believe, and we want our supporters to see that there is continuity. This is not a one-man show. It is not a one-man affair.
So the continuity is Hassan Joho. He's set to be the ODM flag bearer after Raila Odinga. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, because there will be a procedure of selecting a flag bearer after Raila. And remember, as long as we're in a coalition, it does not mean that Raila must be succeeded by someone from ODM. I would love that. But we must be sensitive to the needs of the other parties within the coalition. In fact, Anne, even 2017, in as much as ODM, the party to which I belong, we have said that Raila Odinga will be our flag bearer. That is as ODM. But as COD, there will be another process to select one person, first among equals. You saw in Narok, Even Musalia Mudavadi, is now walking along with us. So Kenyans should expect more players, people who are dissatisfied, people who feel disenfranchised, people who feel that they cannot stand the meat-eating.
Hold your horses, Kimani, because you seem to be dismissing the idea of a Hassan Joho candidature in 2022, which he has said blatantly during our 7 p.m. bulletin, Nipashe Weekendi. He said, yes, he's in it for 2022, and right now he's popularizing himself. Do you not see him as a viable candidate who can sort of master national clout and carry the ODM flag going forward?
Oh yes, I believe he can, because he's a governor of a county government. He's a deputy leader of the biggest political party until JP came into the picture. He's got a track record. There's nothing that stops Hassan Joho from running for the presidency. But whether he's going to be an automatic candidate, I think that is a matter that will have to be digested by members of the party. The focus really, Anne, because 2022 is still far. The focus is on 2017 and how we must ensure that we utilize our real tyranny of numbers. And it is the opposition that has the tyranny of numbers. What has always affected us is, one, apathy in uptake of ID cards, apathy in uptake of voters cards, and also apathy when it comes to voting. And this is why ODM is going out there re-energizing, giving people the belief that this time round, the IBC that has been used in the past to mess up with the elections and to give skewed results, IBC is gone, and as long as we cast our vote, every vote that is cast will be counted.
You know, and when Senator Kajwang talks of the tyranny of numbers, and he says, he actually pretends that they have the real tyranny of numbers, and says that there is apathy among his voters. I want to tell you, Senator, apathy among his voters comes in when voters lose hope. And if there is apathy within the population that votes for your party, it's because they have lost hope in your leadership. You have a leadership that cannot give space to young leaders, young, vibrant leaders like you. That's why today, Senator Kajwang, you and your party, ODM, can only go to Mombasa to make one big announcement that Raila Odinga will be your candidate. When you come to Nairobi, Kidero is your candidate. And as Anne says here, you're very hesitant to even acknowledge Hassan Joho as a probable candidate even in 2022. Why? Because this is a party that has its owners, and its owners are known. And Hassan Joho to you is a stranger within ODM, just like Kalonzo Musyoka, Wetangula and Musalia are strangers within the CORD coalition. And I want to tell you for a fact that in 2017...
Why would he be a stranger in ODM? Why would Joho be a stranger in ODM?
And he's a deputy party leader.
And you've seen the prominence that he's had in 2 major party events.
He is a stranger in the sense that the owners of the party, and the party has its owners, and you know the bedrock of their support where that is. They see him as a stranger. That is why Senator Kajwang from Homa Bay is hesitant to even appreciate Hassan Joho as a leader. And he says it's true ODM has 2 deputy party leaders. Where was Oparanya today? And I'm telling you, this is all about game plan. 2017 for ODM, ODM going it alone. They have decided that, and I truly sympathize with one Moses Wetangula, who Senator Moses Kajwang attended his presidential bid. But you remember that ceremony never even went to completion. They disrupted it. ODM goons disrupted the meeting even before it went even on for even an hour. But I want to say this. For ODM, its lack of any clear strategy and vision for this country. And that's what the president has been telling you. When he tells you focus, and I hear the same thing you are telling me to focus on Jubilee and not focus on ODM, I was only giving you my unsolicited advice. But when the president tells you focus on building your house, because we want to move this country from the ethnic-based and personality-based politics. Because we did promise the people of Kenya that we will transform not just Kenya, but also transform the way we do our politics. We have done that very well in bringing 14 political parties under one umbrella of the Jubilee political party. The next thing the president has asked them, and you saw it happen in at the funeral in Narok, is let us focus on selling our policies and our agenda to the people of Kenya. And we leave it to the people of Kenya to choose. You will find people, you'll be shocked, Senator, people in Homa Bay County today who are not queuing in Kenyatta National Hospital for dialysis because they can have a dialysis center in Homa Bay County.
Kimani,
voting for Jubilee.
Let me hold you there because I want to move to that particular event that happened early in the week. But before we finish up with Nairobi, if we would focus on your house a little bit. So who's going to be the gubernatorial candidate for Jubilee?
We will have party nominations, free and fair party nominations, and you had the 3 candidates who are there today. I think there are about 2 or 3 others who are not there.
But you're an insider. Where are you leaning towards? Is it the Cabinet Secretary, Eugene Wamalwa?
And I vote in Kikuyu constituency, but I only reside in Nairobi. So I have an interest in seeing in getting to know who is best suited for Nairobi.
And
I'll tell you, I will tell you for free. Out of the 3 years experience that I've had, Governor Evans Kidero is the worst disaster that the people of Nairobi would have voted. And the earlier they get him out of that position, the better.
If I may be cheeky, who's a lesser disaster? Who can you offer?
A lesser disaster, of course, would be any of the candidates within the Jubilee coalition, because we will give you the best in Nairobi. And I want to assure the Kenyans and other Nairobians and those who come to Nairobi on Tuesday and leave on Friday, as we were told by Kidero, like myself, that we have an interest. I have never seen the roads in Nairobi in such a deplorable state as they are today. The lighting that you are seeing in Nairobi today is courtesy of the national government. Therefore, I only want to assure you that when the time comes in the run-up to our party nominations, since we will entrust that to the new electoral commission, we will fairly nominate a candidate in Nairobi who will move this city to where it ought to be.
Truly, we will wait and see. Let me move us forward finally, gentlemen, to our last topic of conversation, the showdown that there was at the funeral of the former cabinet minister, William Ole Ntimama. Let's take a listen to how leaders spoke and then we'll talk.
Ntimama alienda State House. Alipotoka State House, akanipiga simu. Akaniambia, ati Raila usidhani mimi nimeenda Jubilee. Kuna mkono moja Jubilee ambayo inatufinya sisi kule Narok. Kwa hiyo mimi nimeenda kwa mkono moja ya Uhuru tusaidie sisi na shida ambayo tuko nayo kule Narok. Kwa hivyo sisi tunazika Ntimama na bendera ya chama chetu cha ODM.
Wewe wachana na mambo ya Jubilee. Jubilee haina mikono miwili au mitatu. Sisi tuko na mkono moja. Tunajua pahali tunaelekea, nyinyi rekebisheni nyumba yenu, tukutane kwa uwanja. La wachana na nyumba yangu ya Jubilee. Watu waelezwe, kumeza mate sio kukula nyama. Kwa hivyo wenzetu, endeleeni kumeza mate, lakini nyama tutakula. Tuendelee.
So, what nyama specifically is Jubilee eating? Because if you leave it up to ODM, it's nyama ya Eurobond, yeah?
Definitely.
And NYS scandal, what was the president referring to?
You know, Anne, simple minds interpret things in a very simple way. And I believe Kenyans are not foolish enough to believe what ODM and the COD brigade wants them to believe in. Because the president was giving an analogy. And he actually was quoting somebody. I just read in the papers today that was quoting the governor for Kwale, Salim Buria. He's a mzee he spoke about, who said that from the coast. And the analogy is that when somebody is in a position of leadership and they have taken charge of that position and they are leading a nation, let them do their work. Those others who wish to be in that position, continue wishing, but mjipange, as he tells them, plan and strategize and sell your policies to the people so that you may also come and sit on the position that, of course, Jubilee is sitting on today. And it was a simple analogy and people understood it in that context. But for the simple minds in COD and ODM, they will want to misinterpret that to mean other things. Because for them, everything is about what they eat and their stomachs. It's never about the people. That's why you will hear them simplify that analogy to just be about meat. Right. Its literal meaning of meat and their stomachs. Because for them, leadership is about their stomachs, not about something.
Was it just a bad analogy? Can you just admit that this one perhaps didn't work?
I think it was a very good analogy, by the way. Very good, extremely good, because one, you must of course give it to Uhuru Kenyatta. He was definitely irritated by one simple fact, that here is a national leader who is taking advantage of a very unfortunate situation of a funeral to propagate lies. And I'll tell you, if Raila Odinga was seated where you are seated today, I would look at him straight in the eye and tell him you are lying, because he lied. On the 12th of August, I was in Narok. That was about 2 weeks after Mzee Ntimama was in State House with his delegation of leaders from Narok County, Mzee Ntimama stood up at the rally in Narok North and affirmed that him and the Maasai community are ready and they will work with Uhuru Kenyatta and the Jubilee government now and in the coming elections.
And could you allow me also
to stand before a congregation in a funeral service to lie that Mzee Ntimama called me after he left State House, and yet I knew on the 12th of August that Mzee Ntimama had said something else. I think that is what anybody
what is a lie about Raila saying that Ntimama called him? Were you in possession of Ntimama's phone to know whether he called Raila or not? I think you know, well, if you want to go to that extent, but I think going back to the crux of the matter, the attitude that Jubilee has as far as leadership is concerned, they believe that leadership is about eating. And they believe that eating is a preserve of those who have been elected into office. So that even if Raila got 5 million votes, those votes and those people that he represents, they don't count. They should sit back and wait and watch as they eat. And even within Jubilee, because it would be foolhardy for us to come here and say that everyone within Jubilee is eating. It is the likes of Ichung'wah who are eating. The rest of the people are spectators. They are being taken for a ride that when the community votes for one of their sons, then it is their turn to eat. I think we must change this analogy so that power is not about people accessing meat. Power becomes a tool that we want to gain so that we can serve all Kenyans equally. The attitude of Jubilee is that power is a tool that they use to monopolize state resources. And you ask, what nyama is it? I mean, we've not gotten satisfactory answers on Eurobond. We've not gotten to the depth of NYS. We've not gotten to the depth of the loans that we are taking as a nation from China. There are so many scandals coming out of Jubilee. So you cannot say that Kenyans are so, you cannot say, and you cannot, Ichung'wah cannot say that Kenyans are so simplistic that what the president said in broad daylight could have meant anything different from what he said in public.
Okay,
Senator, I'm telling you, it's not Kenyans. It is the leadership within ODM and CORD. And it's so hypocritical of you to say that you cannot see what this government has done. And I told you, just before you walked into where you are sitting in, the PS Health was seated right where you are seated, talking about dialysis centers. I wish you were telling, I think
that's a very good point.
That dialysis center is non-existent.
That's a very good point.
Project
Development should never be seen as a favor. When dialysis machines are brought to the people of Homa Bay, these are people who pay taxes. For every single fish they get out of Lake Victoria, there's part of it that goes to the state. So if you brought roads and if you brought dialysis equipment, this is public fund.
But appreciate it's not a favor. It should not be talking. Gentlemen, I must find out. Shake my hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back with Game Plan 2017 next week. We're taking a break. The sport up next.